doing today? I hope you all had a great weekend. Thank you for joining us. Again, this is a Power Monday brought live to you from KW Malaysia. So thank you so much for joining us. For all the guests and all our agents in the KW system, thank you for joining us. Quick question for everyone, trivia question for everyone this morning. When you look at my screen and you look at what's being shot on my camera, what's that one thing that is different that you notice here? If you notice something different, please type on the chat box. What do you notice different? Wow, Joanne, you are so spot on. New chair. Awesome. I had a back issue, had a back problem the past couple of months, but 2 weeks ago, actually, I fell down from my chair. The chair broke. So if you want to ever do quality control on whether the chair is good or not, let me sit on it. If it doesn't break, then it's a good chair. Okay, so there's a joke in the office. My regional team will tell me that they are counting how many chairs I have broke. And I'm not kidding you. Every year, I break some chairs. Yeah, there you go. So they're all laughing at me. Yes. So I told them that this chair, it's a little bit more expensive and it can take up to 180 kilos. Now I'm not 180 kilos yet, but then I bought the one that can have the highest load because I didn't want to fall anymore and I wanted to protect my back. Yes, I am going on a diet, no rice, low carb diet right now for the past, I think, what, two weeks already, 2 weeks plus. So that's where I am, right? So thank you guys for joining us. I think today we have a power-packed full day of conversations so that you can kickstart our week right and well. Today, I want to talk about focus. I want everyone to type the word focus on the chat box right now. Say focus. Put on the chat box, right? Focus. Now, when you listen to this word focus, what is the first thing that comes to you right now? When you say focus, right? When someone say, hey, guys, you got to focus on this, you got to focus on that, what comes to your mind? Please type it on the chat box right now. What comes to your mind? 100% attention, great. What else? Discipline, concentrate, one point of direction, target. What else? No multitasking, focus, right? So the word focus is a very big and very wide word because when you say focus, right, what does it really mean? And let's put in the context of our real estate business right now, being intentional, narrow the aim. Absolutely, I love that. How then can we shape our mind and shape the way we think to help us to focus? Now, I like to go and study history. History helps me and teach me a lot of things. I like to think of myself as a good student of history. And some of the history books or some of the history thinking that I read, right, are various, from the Greek historians, from the Western culture and the Eastern culture. One of my favorite historical understanding or historistics is called the Sun Tzu Art of War. How many of you know the Sun Tzu Art of War? How many of you, Sun Tzu Bing Fa? How many of you have read this before? How many of you heard of this before? Now, this particular book has many principles about going to war, but I think it's also about principles about life and business as well. And it was written somewhere around, historian can't be 100% sure, but it's somewhere around 500 BC. So it's about 2,000 over years ago, more than 2,000 over years ago. This book was written in China. And on the right-hand side, you see that there's this person named by the name of Lionel Giles. Dr. Lionel Giles was the first Western historian and philosopher that translated it in English for the first time in 1910. In 1910 was the first time the Western world actually had a copy of a translation, a full translation of Sun Tzu Art of War. And today, I want to use Sun Tzu Art of War in the first 15-20 minutes here to help us think about how can we focus from a business standpoint using certain principles from here. Is that okay or not? Are you guys ready to go? If you're ready, guys, go. Let's everyone type war. W-A-R, war. All right, all ready to go and fight already. Awesome. Now, Sun Tzu was she's a court, what do you call that? Advisor to one of the warlords, right? In that time in China, there was one king for the whole China, but the king was not very strong. He had many vassals or many warlords, right? And the warlords kind of always been fighting each other, whoever had the best technology or the best ability to harness the best resources win. So within that particular country of China, there were many states that was run by vassals or warlords. And Sun Tzu was part of that warlord, one of the warlords' advisor and military strategies. And he wrote this treatise or this military manual. I think the word "art of war" is not very accurate translation. I think it's the science of war, and he talks about things that very scientific. Now there are three principles that I want to teach us today that will help us think about focus. The first one that Sun Tzu says in the very beginning of the particular writing, it says, "In peace prepare for war, in war prepare for peace." The art of war is of vital importance to the state. It is a matter of life and death, a road either to safety or to ruin. Hence, under no circumstances can it be neglected. Now, what it means is this: if you understand this, if you are the war or general that is in charge of strategy, or you are the king of that particular land, the war is a matter of seriousness. Now, I want you to think about your business right now. Let's flip this right now and change the word in about war. The art of business is of vital importance to our lives. It's a matter of life and death. Now, I'll ask you this question right now. Is your business a matter of life and death for you? Ask yourself this question right now. Is it very important? Is it critical? Would something bad happen if your business go down? Ask yourself this question right now. Yes or no? Only one person say yes. What happened to the rest? Are you guys still awake? Of course. But is it very important? It's not the most important. Is it very important? There are many things that is very important, but is business one part of it that is important? Right? Does it make sense so far? Now, if it is very important, do we treat it? How do we treat it? Serious or not serious? Something that is, do we neglect certain things, right? So if you take your business seriously, then your mindset to fit into that business have to be thinking about what the possibilities, what are the effects, and most importantly, in our business, I think one way to show that we are disciplined and serious about our business is as for your business. Because if it's a matter of life and death, if it's a matter of importance, do you then have a business plan? Are you prepared? Are you really prepared? Ask yourself this question. Are you prepared? This particular text, the particular chapter about this, talks about how we should be so prepared about our business. How should we be so prepared? So if you want to be really focused in your business, are you focused enough that you are very well prepared? If you're not prepared, something is wrong with your focus. Does that make sense so far? Next slide, please. The second principle that I want to talk about here is, if you know both yourself and your enemy, you can win 100 battles without a single loss. Now, what it means is this: do you know your strength and your weaknesses? Do you know the market that you are in right now? Do you understand what's going on in the area of your focus? Do you know? Now, if you know your strength and your focuses, and your strength and your weaknesses, the way you plan your business will be according to your strength, not your weakness. That makes sense. There are certain things that you know in your area or in your competitors that they are stronger than you in certain things. So you cannot fight head on with them on that. Do you compete with them in a different area? Do you know yourself? And most importantly, do you know the competitors that's in the market for you right now? Do you know the people in the market? Do you know what's going on in the environment? Sun Tzu talked a lot about the environment. Do you understand the weather? Do you understand the climate? Do you understand the terrain? Do you understand what's going on before you go into the war? A lot of times, understanding helps us to focus better. Because when you know your strength, you will focus on your strength, not your weaknesses. The weaknesses are something that you can work on, but the strength is the one that can push you forward. And all of us got strength and weaknesses, and some of us got more than the others. But if you develop your strength, focus on your strength, eventually your weaknesses, some of them you can leverage, some of them you can improve, but you got to focus on your strength. you got to understand in that particular market or the neighborhood. Say you are now focusing in Damansara Jaya. Do you know how many schools are there? Do you know how many listings are there in the market right now? Do you know what's the past transaction in 2021, 2020, 2019? Do you know the historical trends in that market? Do you understand who are your number one competitors there? Do you know what are your competitors doing so well that they are winning market share? Because you see, the goal of this business is to understand your strength, understand your competitor's strength, and then find a way to win market share. That makes sense so far? You got to find a way to win market share because there is going to be competition. If you are in a market that is not competitive, I want to caution you and be careful that it may not be the best market to be in. Just want to be cautioned. Sometimes there is a good market to be in, but sometimes it may not be the best because it is not driving enough transactions, right? So know yourself and know your enemy. You can win 100 battles without a single loss. The last thing I want to share today about this particular mindset, this particular philosophy to think about our business is strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. Tactics without strategy is noise before defeat. I want you to sink in for a while. Strategies without tactics is the slowest route to victory. Let me explain what does it mean here. A lot of us, when you brainstorm with friends or your team members, how many of you work before in an environment, in a group, that you all talk and you think of all the big strategies, but after the long talk and all the hard work in brainstorming, nothing happened. How many experienced that before? Yes or yes? We talk very big. In order for us to sustain our business, we must be number one in the market. We must do so many things. We must be this, we must be that, we must have this, we must have that. But nothing happened after that. Why is that? There is a difference between strategy and tactics. Strategy is when you have a huge perspective that will help you hit your goal. There must be a goal, and these are the strategies that you want to deploy in order to hit your goal. It is very different from tactics. So I always ask agents today, so right now we are in a GPS planning, right? You all talk about what are the strategies to hit your priorities, right? And everybody give me a very strong strategy. They will talk about, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, I want to do that. I want to go open houses, I want to print flyers, I want to, agent will list down a long list of things that they want to do. But then I ask them, actually, what's your strategy? Tell me your strategy. They cannot tell me the strategy. They will tell me, I want to flyers, I want to go and see client, I want to, work on this, I want to work on that, but they don't have a clear overarching strategy. To give you an example, for example, in this year, one of our number one strategies is very clear for the whole region of Malaysia. Guess what it is? Can you guess what's our number one strategy for all agents right now this year? Anyone, can you guess? If you know, please put that in the chat box. What has the regional leadership rolling out right now? Empowerment, what else? The tech-enabled agents, spot on. Technology is our number one strategy. Everything else we do under technology is very tactical. I deploy command is very tactical. I deploy this is very tactical. It's very, very tactical. Tactics are the way to help you use your strategy to achieve your goal. And if you have tactics without strategy, you are doing a lot of things and you're not sure what you are doing. How many of you do a lot of things, at the end of the day, after doing a lot of things, nothing really happened? How many of you experienced that before? Spend so much time, spend so much effort, spend so much money, but nothing happened. It's important to understand strategies and tactics. Now, agents have to be very tactical. Now, what is an example of a very tactical thing? In order for you to gain market share in an area, let's say Damansara Jaya, what's the first strategy? The first strategy or the priority is, if I have the most listing in Damansara Jaya, does it bring me a higher possibility of me achieving my goal as the market leader? Yes or no? Now, if that's a priority, that's a strategy, what are the tactics that I need to do in order for me to hit my goal as the market leader. Now, I must first know a number. Definitely, I need to know a number. That's why I need to know myself and know my competitors. If my competitor, Mr. Agent A, have 220 listings, you better go and check on him. Better go and look at what he's doing, and better go and go around the town, the neighborhood, and see how many listings he has. You have 160 listings, and he's the number one agent in that area. That's your benchmark. Meaning, if you want to become market leader, eventually you've got to do better than him. Does that make sense? Right? If you want to be a market leader in that location, shouldn't you then beat the number one market person in that location? If you don't know what he is having, you don't know what he does, you don't know what he do, how can you then be a market leader? So the tactics that you do is to first understand your enemy, understand your competitors, know how many listings that they have. And then you have to benchmark against them. How can I then have the same listing or the better listing than them or more listing than him through time? Now, you cannot win a war in one battle. A war cannot be fought in one battle. It has to be fought in many battles. We call that a campaign, a war campaign. In order for you to be a market leader in a certain area, there needs time. You need to progress, but you benchmark. This year, 160 listings is what they have. I need to find a way in 1 to 2 years to gain that number of listings. What is my strategy for that in the year 1 and in year 2? And what are my tactics on a daily basis to hit my goal? So for example, if you need to earn 160 listings or 120 listings this year, every month is 10 listings, every week is 2 listings, 2.5 listings. That's your tactic. You ask yourself, you wake up every morning, what do you do on a single day to bring me 2.5 listings or 3 listings? If you consistently do that, would you have a higher chance to hit your goal? Because your ultimate goal is to be a market leader. Does that make sense? So there's an example of strategy without tactics and tactics without strategy. So there's an example of what is a tactic and what is a strategy. So I thought today I wanted to share these 3 key things. And then you all can, I know it's very deep, but you all can, there are a lot of books already. By the way, I have many books on Sun Tzu of War. This is one of my favorite books. It's a Chinese translation to English classic. It's written by the Chinese professors. This one is written by Americans, 50 strategic rules of Sun Tzu of War. Actually, I got one more black color book. I think it's missing. I don't know who stole my book or who lent my book. And then normally, now I learned that I don't borrow people's book anymore, because when I borrow them, I give it away. You know, this is an illustration of a Sun Tzu visualized. I got another book written by 2 professors in Singapore University, Nanyang Singapore University, that talks about business application. I like all these ancient historical books. I read the English. I can't read Chinese, so I read the English translation of Romance of Three Kingdoms. I read a lot of books about tactics and strategy. The Western classic called The Prince. If you are a student of humanities and history, this is probably a strategy book that was written in the year 1500, in the 1500s by this guy called Machiavelli. So these are all books available. Yes, there you go, The Art of War Visualized. Are available in the market. I'm going to share with you a podcast that I think it's probably one of the best podcasts for Sun Tzu of War on Spotify. I'm going to share it in the chat box. There you go. It's a very good podcast that when I do my jogging, now I do it almost every day. I listen to this. It's a very good podcast. Go and listen and understand this, and to help you build certain thoughts so that you can begin to have a clearer perspective of how to focus. Okay, so read books or understand or listen to podcasts. Right now, time is a problem for me, so I like to spend time listening to podcasts. Okay. Now let's move forward. Let's just change the gears a little bit, and let's interview our 2 agents here. So today we are joined by 2 agents from Market Center 1. We have Brendan and we have Naqi. And it's a good example because Brendan has been in the business for a little bit longer time. Naqi is a bit shorter time. So I thought they carry both different kind of perspective based on their experiences in real estate. Maybe I will start with Brendan first. Kind of introduce yourself and tell us how long you're in this business, and in the year 2020, what happened to your business?
Hi, good morning, everybody. So I've been in the business for 10 years now, And I first started my industry together with you, John, back then in GMAT Routers. So when I first started my journey in real estate, I was doing mainly in the secondary market. And then approximately 3 years later, I transited into doing project sales in the primary market. And today I juggle both between the primary and secondary market, mainly in the vicinity of Mount Kiara, Damansara Heights, and Bukit Tungku as well. Yeah. So I think as of last year, it was rather challenging in terms of the way how we practice and conduct our business. However, that does not actually hinder myself to actually look for opportunity to gain more market share and gain more listings. So what happened is I think also very thankful with Redfield and via KW as well that feed us all these trainings and motivation, and hearing other leaders speak about how they successfully got their team members to close deals even during a lockdown when I'm in MCO. So actually that actually helps me a lot to drive forward in such environment.
Yeah. So can you share in 2020, like roughly how many transactions or the volume of transaction you did in 2020?
So in 2020, I transacted about 20 over transactions, okay, excluding renewals of tenancy. And it has been probably the best year throughout my 10 years of career in real estate.
And in terms of volume of the value of transaction of properties, what sort of volume have you transacted? Do you mind sharing?
Okay, the lowest price transacted was probably a condo unit in Bangsa, Tivoli, which was about 500,000. And the highest price property that was transacted is 15.6 million.
So in total, what's the total value of properties that you have done in 2020? Roughly 30 million, 20 million, how much of it?
Total volume should be about 25 million.
25 million. Okay, thank you very much for sharing, Brandon. Naqi, let's just switch gears to you, Naqi. How about you, Naqi? Tell us a bit about yourself, your business, your area of focus, and what happened in 2020 for you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. Thanks for having me. All right, so basically, not like Brandon, for myself, I'm only like 15 months in the industry. I was working 14 years in the professional line. So I started at the back of 2019, pre-COVID for a few months. So it's been, when I came into the industry, I don't have any expectations set because I'm fresh. I'm fresh from a professional world coming into real estate. So, but I do have, my standard is I want to achieve more than what I'm earning on my last job. Okay, that was the main aim. So coming into the industry, so I have the figure that I want to achieve, but in terms of how I'm going to achieve it, I was not that structured. I'm not that organized. So COVID hit as well. I think in March 2020. So everything had changed for me. I've done a few transactions before COVID hits, but at the back of my mind, when COVID hits, I told myself, oh man, am I in the correct industry? Why have I left my professional job? Is this the correct decision? So those kind of things was, bugged me throughout weeks. And then I regroup and I rethink that if I'm going to be in this business, I'm going to push it all out. I need to learn from the best. I need to benchmark from the best. So from there, I believe 2020 was a good year because at the end of the day, I met my objective. I met my target in terms of beating what was my salary earned when I was in a professional life. Okay, so 2020 had been quite a very interesting, challenging, and exciting year for me.
Got it. And do you know the area of your focus and how many transactions have you done so far in the year 2020? Just as a first year agent or the 15 months agent.
Okay, if you are not aware, my area of focus is here, Taman Tun Dr. Ismail. Okay, I've transacted around 12 deals last year. amounting to nearly 12 mil, by half compared to Brandon. But for me, I think is a successful achievement from my point of view, because I came in with no expectation, and from there I know I can do more, and I can do, based on my strategy, I can achieve what I really intend to do, and based on my targets.
Awesome. So guys on the chat box, please, how many of you think that if you do 25 million a year or 12 million a year, it's an awesome business to have? How many of you want that kind of business? Put it in the chat box right now. Yes or no? There you go. Awesome. Now, Naqi, let me just ask you the next question here. When you started your real estate business, I know you and I talked about your GPS. We work out some planning for your business, and you decide to focus on a certain market, a certain location, a certain segment. Can you share with us why do you make that decision?
Okay, number one, to be focused on specific, like hyper focus, is basically, I think the number one thing is super economical, because your locality is within 2 to 5 kilometer radius only. For me, it was really important because at the current position that I am now, I have so many things, other commitments like family commitments I need to juggle with. So I know the comfort that I'm just nearby and I can just assist home whenever it's needed. That is the main priority. And for me, because I'm staying here as well, so that's why it's quite easy for me, because sometimes when I do viewing, I just walk to my viewing presentation. So it's quite awesome to have that feeling, because before this, I was working in KLIA. Can you just imagine I was spending 1 hour in traffic, but now I can just go to work 5 minutes walk. But it happens like sometimes only like.
Got it. So
Yeah.
I hear that there's better quality of life, and also that market is a great market you're in, because you're in Taman Tun is an awesome market. It's a high demand market. And the number of listings are there, and the dynamics is very active. So thank you for sharing that. Brandon, how about you? Why did you decide to focus on that key area? And you are focusing definitely on the very luxury market, the focus on the luxury market segment, right? Why did you make the decision?
So basically, say Mount Kiara, for instance. So I actually live in Mount Kiara as well. So I was brought up here, and so what happened is I understand the macro and the micro environment very well. So there are certain things that people can't see with their naked eyes, whereas I can actually convey that particular message and happenings that people can't see. So for instance, Mount Kiara is under the constituency of Segambut, and Hannah Yo is our member of parliament. So Hannah Yo and the Mount Kiara Residents Association does a lot of collaboration together to have ongoing like transformation of the neighborhood. So for instance, if there are any potholes and stuff identified, immediately it will be shared to the president of the MKRA chairman, and then they will then link with the MP or the MP's assistant, and they will communicate to DBKL and get things done. Also, Mount Kiara has got a very holistic infrastructure and also amenities. You know, you have private healthcare here. You have one of the 2 top international schools in Malaysia. You have, you know, shopping mall. You have, you know, the whole package for people to live in. So because I understand this location very well, and you know, when I was in Mount Kiara, there was only 3 condominiums, and today we have more than 30 over condominiums here. So I can basically share things from A to Z to any prospective client who wish to live in Mount Kiara.
Got it. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. How many of you now, if you are a client in this market, in this call right now, you imagine yourself as a client, you will want to call Brandon and ask him about Mount Kiara? Can you see an example of know yourself, know your strengths, know the terrain, know everything, and the privilege and the benefit he has by growing up in that area helps him better. So he knows his strength. He uses his strength for his advantage, right? And you call him really a local expert. And when you speak to him, right, he can tell you so many stories from 30 years ago to now. Like if one day if you got time, he'll tell you the story of how this whole thing started, right? He has his own version of this story which I still remember. The horse riding story, correct, Timothy? Absolutely right. So why is it important? There's an example and a demonstration of how you know yourself, you know your terrain, and both Naqi and Brendan is a good example of that, as I shared that principle earlier with you all. Okay, let's go on to the next question. Brendan, what are some of the strategies that you deploy in starting your journey in focusing on this area? What are some of the strategies that you deploy so that you have a clear focus of how to start your business in this area? What strategies do you use?
I think the strategy I've used is basically I tap into my contacts. So basically, I have friends or friends of friends who are active property investors. So sometimes when we go out, we chat, or over coffee or tea, and then we strike conversation about investment. And then I have friends that tells me that, hey, my uncle does a lot of property investment. We should talk to him. So I always ask for referrals, and I always tap into people who has got the same interest in property investment or just acquiring properties, for investment purposes and so on. So my strategy is to talk about general stuff and then go into more objective kind of conversation that helps me in my profession basically.
Got it. So if I hear you correctly, is database?
Database, yes. It's about tapping into your own network and also your network that knows people who can help you in real estate.
Awesome. So guys, it's an example of using the database that you already have and the neighborhood, the people that you know surround a neighbor, and you go deeper and you develop that database. You go deeper and you ask for referral. Brother, can I ask you a question out of curiosity? As a gauge of a percentage, right? How many percent of your business are referral based?
I would say probably about 60 to 70% are referral based.
Guys, listen to this, guys. 60 or 70% business from him is referral. Very powerful, because it is very intentional. That is number one strategy. I personally have seen Brendan work for, I didn't realize it's 10 years, by the way, Brendan. I didn't know you're so old already. But anyway, you're very young, still very young, or younger than me. I'm also young, but he's younger than me, that's all. And I've seen him on the phone every time. I remember at night coming back to office, he's always having a cordless phone in the office and calling people and having conversations and talking to them and say hello. And he spent time purposefully talking to his database, and not only that, going deeper and developing and adding on numbers to the database. One strategy, guys, and the tactic is to call people. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brendan. Just call them. That's the tactic. Just call.
Yeah.
Right.
Basically, in 2019, I was in the gym, and then I met a gym user in my condo unit who are regulars in the gym that I use. So then we strike conversation, and they said, "Oh, you're a regular gym user." He said, "Yeah," and so how long have you been staying here and so on. And then we became friends, and then we usually talk about general stuff. And then one day he asked me, "What do I do?" I said, "Oh, I'm in real estate." And then I said, "Oh, yeah, house property market here and so on." And then end of 2019, he was looking for shop lots in Hatamas area. And in end of 2019, beginning of 2020, he bought 2 shop lots from me, each costing about 3.5 million.
There you go.
Yeah.
Guys, strike a conversation and talk and be proud of your business and talk about your business as if you are the local economist of choice. And you go to the gym to be healthy and you'll be wealthy at the same time. So thank you, Brendan, for sharing. That's a great story. Naqi, how about you, Naqi? What are some of the strategies that you use to deploy to help to focus in your business on your area?
Okay. Since I'm fresh from a different industry, so in terms of my network and my circle of my sphere of interest, it does not have any investors like what Brandon has. So for me, I need to start from scratch. So, but I know the area. I've been staying here for for quite some time in my dating life as well, because my wife is orang Taman Tun. So I've been familiar with the area for like 2 decades plus already. So I know the area. So what I need to do is I need to farm. I think that's the most organic thing that I can do. I don't have the contacts. I don't have anything. So, and that's the most economical thing that I can do. So I started farming just to show people that, hey, hi, I'm a new guy here. I'm a real estate. Let me assist you. Those kind of, that statement that I put to people. So I send out postcards, I send out flyers. And from there, I start to be active in social media as well, in the community of Taman Tun, just to make the presence, to have that social presence. Because before this, I'm not that active in social media. It's only like personal stuff. But now, since you're doing this, I think you need to be more active. You need to have that social presence. People want to see you. People want to see you for who you are, not only as a realtor, as a person as well, because everyone is a human being with family, with life, with different stories in their life. So people want to see you as an agent and your other side as well. Just for people to get familiar with. So from there, I start building up because the overall strategy is to get as many listings as I can. So because your competition is a very super high intensity war, battle, whatever you want to say. There's so many agents working on this area. So for me going in, I always second guess myself. How can I beat this? People who is in the industry like for 30 years, 25 years, and like their rent number is 3 digits only. So my rent number is only starting from 30,000 plus. So I have that, psychology in me. Like, can I do this? But I've deployed my strategy, got my listings. So at the end of the day, it shows and it proves that I can do this transaction as well. So it can be done slowly. You can't compete with all the old timers just straight away. But if you grow and you strategically execute your plan according to what you have, your plan is throughout the year, I think ultimately you will achieve that.
Awesome. Now you spend a lot of time doing this is a great question here by Joy, and I think I'm going to come to you, Naqi, because you are a firm believer of this, that there are many people who are like the old timers in that particular market that you are in right now, and they like to spend a lot of money on the portals, and they bump up the portals and all that, and then you don't play that game, correct?
Correct.
You don't play the game. And how do you compete against that? What are some of the, can you be a bit more specific about the strategies that is working for you and you're garnering that listings right now?
Okay, first of all, when I came in as a newbie, I thought, okay, this is the property portal. That's the only thing I can, show my listings to the public. So I was thinking, oh, man, this is so costly. And when you have a listing, a featured listing, it can just be bumped down to the second, third page just within minutes. People competing in my market. So I thought to myself, like, because when I was working professionally, I always do benchmarking and best practices. So to see other innovative or creative way to compete with the status quo, right? So for me, I told myself this question: if I'm really focused in this area, what can I do to put all my listings in one avenue or one place that I can show people? All right. So that was the plan. So I thought to myself, let me just build a website. This is a specific website that is dedicated to that area. It's not my website in terms of like Naqi.com, for example. It's specific to that area. So people who are looking for Taman Tun, okay, they can just click on the web. I use my property portal just to put my website in as well, so people can see, at least people have that glimpse or that impression, hey, what's this? Let me just go in and see all the listings. So from there, I'll try to tackle as much of leads coming in organically without spending a lot in my property portals. I think that was the main strategy. And I'm using social media as well, because social media is free. I'm building content on a regular basis just to keep the presence. Is zero content, but so far it has been good lead generation, good lead generator for me, because organic leads coming in for free. I think that's my main objective. even though you can achieve 5 transaction, 10 transaction, 20 transaction, but the ultimate goal is to keep as much money as possible. And one of the things that can assist you to keep as much money as possible is to reduce your costs at the lowest as possible and still be effective compared to the other agents. So that was the strategy.
Right. And how many listings or leads you get from your social media page on your website right now on a weekly basis?
On a weekly basis, organically, sometimes one, sometimes two. This is both sale and rental.
Got it. And you get listings as well, right?
Definitely, definitely.
So your goal was to find a way that you can do it more efficiently, less cost, and you try to find a way to go direct to the consumer.
Yep.
Right? You try to go direct to the consumer and become the first. When the consumer think about Taman Tun, they think about you first because you have the resources, you are there. Now, how many of you, I will encourage you all to go and visit Naqi's website, go and visit his page, TTDI Homes. See, it's very simple, right? TTDIhomes.com, TTDI Homes on Instagram, TTDI Homes on Facebook, and then you can get to see what he's building right now. It's pretty awesome what he's doing right now. So I encourage you to visit and probably have a conversation with and work with him in the Taman Tun area. Okay. Now let's go to the next question here. Naqi, as you are doing this, basically last year was your kind of like your first year in this journey of this first step of your business in focusing in Taman Tun. What are some of the challenge that you face?
I think it's typical. The challenge your competition, right? So you have so many people working in Taman Tun area. They are very super strong agents because you need to learn about who your enemies are, right? I will not say enemies is basically your competition. Okay, just learn what are they doing. Is there anything different that they are doing? We need to understand because we need to find a strategy how to at least be at par with them. At least like people go to you instead of them. So those kind of strategy. So those are the challenges, and most of the highest is basically they are very cost driven. They spend a lot because I see them in property portals, all the property portals. Sometimes this one person is on the first page throughout every single day. I mean, like I can't be that. It's not economical for me. So those are the competition. So from there, what I learned is I benchmark against other agents. Not in this country. I've looked at agents in the States, agents in Europe. What are those agents did that give them good volume, good transaction rates as well. So I learned from there. I leverage in terms of their knowledge and their strategy, and I apply it so I can use it at my own advantage because I don't see it is happening in Malaysia. So those are the things that I did just in order for me to overcome these challenges because I don't have that money to spend. I'm very prudent in terms of my costing. So those are the things that I need to do.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I want to just add on to that. Sometimes a incumbent or a person who is in that market for a very long time, especially the way Naqi is explaining, how many of you are thinking about those agents in your market that are just putting out the money in the portals and bumping the cost up high? One problem they will see if you just keep doing that over and over again, the same thing over and over again, is that their costs will start going up, right? And then they will see another guy who's trying to do the same thing, and when they do that, everyone's cost goes up. And when the cost of operation keep going up, that problem is a trap. And sometimes, right, there's this saying Gary Keller teaches us in our leadership sessions every month that sometimes the incumbent is losing so slow that they think they're still winning. And what Naqi is trying to do right now is how can I go ahead of them to do things differently so that I have a higher chance of winning the market share by going straight to the consumer. That's going ahead, right? And that's progressing because they are stagnant and they're trapped in this trap because they refuse to change the way they run their business. That's an opportunity. The Naqi is seeing the opportunity in his market right now. So thank you for sharing that, Naqi. Brandon, how about you? What are some of the challenges that you face in your journey of being focused in your location? You're muted, Brandon.
sorry. I'm partially stuck in that trap. So I think what the main issue that I'm facing is obviously my competition as well. So I spend quite a fair bit on iProperty to be on the top of the page and premium listing all the way. My competitors are very fierce. They advertise in like huge billboards in Damansara Heights. Some of them they buy there's another competitor who bought I think at least 10 Land Rover Defender cars just to put his company logo there and park all around Damansara Heights, OS class, and so on. So what happened is, we seriously have to think about, doing campaigns on Facebook to capture that market share, and lower our costs in doing advertising for our business. Having said that, I think we have to juggle and slowly go into campaign, Facebook campaign with KW. But meanwhile, I think we should, because I've been getting quality leads from property portals that I advertise as well. So we have to just slowly adjust and juggle accordingly in that sense. So my biggest thing with real estate now is competition.
Got it. And you are trying to figure out a way to reinvent your business and not kill your business at the same time.
Yeah.
So you're in that journey now. Or you, in this call right now, if some of you are resonating that way, you can see that Brandon is trying his way to adjust and change new things in his journey this year, because you recognize the issue, right? That you are all trapped in this cost issue that all agents are trapped in, right? That's a major problem that all of us must be aware, okay? And find a way to go direct to the consumer is the best way of thinking. The best way of thinking right now, very important. Okay, let's look at it. Let's look at the next question, Brandon. Now, listings are key in order for you to be successful in growing your market share. What are some of the things that you do to gain more listings in your market right now?
So what I do to gain more listings is I say for a specific location that I'm focusing on. So I'll go on property portals to see, hey, what are the new listings that my competitors have? And then, because sometimes for me at least, I couldn't keep track of all these listings, whether it has been sold or it's been rented out and so on. So it's good to see, if some houses which has been rented out, the tenancy has expired and now is, up in the market for sale. So we have to keep track of all these listings. So another way to actually gain more listings is also to advertise. Because when we advertise, owners who has reached out to you and tell them, hey, Brandon, I'm considering to sell my unit and so on. So they will reach out to you to list with you. So you have to be in the market in all the portals and whichever means that can put yourself there for people to reach you to list their properties with you. So that's how you get listings. And also, like how I said just now, always ask for referrals. Like, hey, you have any properties for sale? People that you meet, strike conversation with them. Let them know that you're in the industry. Because especially in an environment which has got a lot of real estate properties transactions, which are very hot and actively trading there. So when you're in that environment, for example in Mount Kiara, like people who owns a property in Mount Kiara most likely has got more than 2-3 other properties most of the time. Yeah. So be with that people, that target, that segment of people to have listings from them or their friends. Yeah.
Okay, I got a candid question to ask you, Brandon. How many hours or how long do you spend a day calling these people on your phone or talking to them or chatting with them on WhatsApp? How long do you spend your time on a daily basis doing things like this?
I think I spend approximately 4 to 5 hours a day.
Yeah. And you're trapped in your room focusing on doing this?
I think every half an hour. Yeah.
Okay. And how many people would you reach out? Can you safe to say, would you reach out on a daily basis? How many people would you reach out to, talk to on a daily basis? What would the number look like?
On a busy day, probably about 9 to 10 people on a busy day. Yeah, but if it's not so busy, probably like the top 5 people which I'm following up with. Yeah, and then I'll try to also like do lead gen elsewhere as well, like via social media. Like I'll just put some photos or like photos that please people and photos that will get people to engage to that photo and asking, hey, where's this place? Like, hey, is this place for sale? Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and you say a lot about, you look at your old listings who are rented out, you will call and ask the owners, hey, is this available again? Do you want to sell right now?
When I have time, or if I have allocated my time to do such activity, then yes. Or yes. When I advertise and then people call, and once that specific build-up size, then I will revisit those listings of the similar or the same build-up.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. So Naqi, how about you, Naqi? What do you do to gain more listings in your market right now?
Right. Typically, you can't move away from the property portals. So the property portals do assist because I have my inventory in all the portals, and we have the Edge prop as well now, where all of my listings are. But sometimes I do social presence for me. Really gave me a lot of listings, and I created other things as well. I think campaign had really gave me a few listings also. Not only not achieving sales, still unfortunate to get any sales from campaign, but I've got few listings for my area doing campaigns. Because the thing is, when you do campaigns, it's directly hit people's page without people going to any property portals. You're browsing through your FB or your IG, and then they saw your brand, and they keep on seeing your brand on a daily basis. For example, it depends on what your strategies are for campaign. They keep on saying, hey, this brand, different properties, so this guy must be doing something in this area only, and the name keep on appearing. Okay, so those kind of things give me leads for both listings and buyers as well. I did something not most of people do in Tamatun also. I did 360 virtual viewing as well. So it gave me some competitive advantage in terms of, no one is doing it in my area that I know of. So it gives the impression to people that, hey, this guy, even though he's new, he's doing something different. Because at the back of my mind, when lately I've been reading a lot and listening to podcasts and listening to YouTube videos, and know that at the back of my mind, I know it's a super high intensity competition in my area. But I think one of the Facebook CEO was mentioning in this current environment, you have 50% chances of that particular person who is using another agent will change to you if like you are offering them something different or something more valuable, right? So I always have this in the back of my mind, what can I add value to people, right? Instead of the normal typical advertisement inside property portals or in social media, how can I add value to people and to the community? So if you follow my FB page, it's more on a community and property kind of things. So not only I promote properties, which is available for rent or for sale, but I do promote the community as well, because people wants to see you as the people of the community. Some agents claim, oh, they are the realtor next door. They are your next door realtor, for example, but they are not doing something to, add value to the community. So I'm slowly having a plan like in my pipeline in terms of how can I add value to the community. From there, people can see, hey, this guy, might as well we try this guy. So for me, ultimately, to get free leads, I want free leads. That's my main objective. So by doing that, giving value to the people, looking at the results, yes, it is giving the results to me, and I think I can do more. Because I'm staying here, I'm serving the community. My kids goes to school here. There's a lot of potential I can do. So those are the things that I did lah. Something different compared to the other competitions, and also when you have a lot of high intensity agents working here, especially the super senior one. For me, before this, I was a very solo-minded kind of agent. Hey, I want to do this myself. I want to reap the profit on my own. But I started to realize, I think I need to be allies with them. Okay, you can't have greed be in order for you to achieve things. Don't let greed determine your success. I think you need to be ally with this, because these agents are very influential, have a very high network in this community. So might as well I be allies with them. So I'm happily being allies with a few of the super senior agents staying in Taman Tun also, where they are now sharing leads, because we have that trust and we have that honesty being built, that rapport is being built. So they are confident enough to share, and I'm confident enough to share. So that's one good thing. I think leverage is really important. It boosts up my listing count as well, because they are open for me to share it to the public.
Got it. Can I ask how many listings do you have in Taman Tun right now, roughly?
Currently, we are talking about 70 sale and rental.
70 listings that you developed in the past 1 year.
Correct.
Awesome. Now think about that, guys. In 1 year, develop a 70 listing, and what Naqi is saying is the simple principle of how to be a better human being in your community. People like you, trust you, and want to be in business with you. And if you follow his page and all that, he will talk about, hey, this COVID-19 right now, we are in this pandemic, doing this MCO, CMCO. You know what? This local uncle in Machit selling nasi lemak here is very good. Why don't you all support her right now? Like, that's what she's doing. If I correct me if I'm wrong, that's what some of the stuff that you do to promote the local businesses, to help them go through this tough time. Now that's adding value to the community, helping the community, but at the same time, showing up as a good human being in the community. That's very important, guys. That's something that you are willing to go and do it right now. So thank you for being an example. So I encourage every of you to look at that and share and what do you call that? Copy or follow and try to learn from each other what they're doing. Okay, let's go on next question, Naqi. In the mid-term to long term, what's the vision for your business moving forward? How does that look like?
Okay, for the business, because I have other plans moving forward. This is only a plan. But if like you're talking about real estate, I want to be I think ultimately you want to be the agent of choice in your area. It's like people know you. If like they think about real estate, they think about rental, they think about selling, they know. Go to TTDI Homes, for example. All right, so building up my team. So I'm more on the negotiation, and I have my team to do all the listings. I think that's the plan moving forward, and having at least 80% organic leads coming in rather than paid leads. That's the ultimate plan, because I think you still have to pay to make your presence known in the portals and everything. But the plan is to have organic leads, to have 90% of the listings in the area. That is the vision. Probably we don't know how it's going to be in the future. Probably everything virtual, you will not know, but I have the technology. I'm open to explore new ideas, but ultimately getting free leads coming in on a regular basis, and have a lot of listings, so people go to you as the know-it-all agent kind of area, and they know who you are in person as well. That's why they're coming to you. That's the ultimate plan.
Awesome. Naqi, one more question.
Go ahead.
Do you know your goal for 2021?
Yes.
What's the goal? Do you mind sharing your goal?
The goal is basically doubling up. It's double to tripling up what I achieved in 2020.
And you have a GPS for that?
I do.
Right. So guys, listen. What you are listening here is a person with a vision, long-term vision, 3 to 5 years, 10 years vision. At the same time, have an annual plan to be that first step to help him hit his vision. Right. So just thank you very much for sharing that, Naqi. Brandon, coming back to you. How about you? what's your vision for your long-term vision for your business moving forward? You are muted.
I think moving forward, my vision for this industry is to continue to gain market share and be the leading agent in that particular location that I'm focusing on. Yeah, and then also my vision is also to strengthen the project sales, specifically in Mont Kiara, to also again gain more market share and to make our presence known to the specific location.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Now, this is a question right now. Guys, if you have a question on the chat box, please put it in. Now, there's a question by Hanan here. I think he's in MC2, if I'm not mistaken. The question for either one of you. Maybe, Brendan, you can answer this question. What are some of the factors in choosing your areas? For other people who are either new or thinking of focusing in areas, do they choose because of the location they stay, or do they also choose based on the data and numbers of transactions to justify them for farming there? So, Brendan, what do you say?
I think it's very much based on how actively properties being transacted in that location. Like in terms of, you can check on how much is that particular property searches in that particular location. You can gauge by how busy that place is. You can gauge by, the tenants and the businesses who wants to open their businesses in that specific location. So if you talk about Mont Kiara, Mont Kiara, we have international banks like Standard Chartered. We have HSBC Bank. We used to have RRG. I do not know if they're still in Hatamas or not. You have people who wants to come into Mont Kiara to have business there, and then you have even like BMW, they do their launching of their vehicles in Publica. So if you identify a place where there's high in traffic, so basically most people, that place is happening, and that's where people want to live or want to rent and do business there. So in the residential and commercial industry in real estate, both are active in that location. So
awesome.
That's how you identify.
Thank you for sharing that. Naqi, how about you? How would you answer that question for someone who's looking for some guidance here? Do they focus on the place they stay, or they have to look at the data of the location as well?
I think data is really important. Data will not lie, because no point of you focusing on something that does not have any transaction. Because for me, I'm a numbers guy. I like statistics, so I know whether it's worth it, and being able to stay there is a bonus. Yeah, it's always, the numbers won't lie, definitely.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Yeah. I totally agree that I used to work in the Mont Kiara area back during my agent sales days, but I was staying in Bandar Seri Damansara. And I make it a point one day to move in and stay there so that I can be as intelligent as Brendan in telling the stories. He is ahead of me because he's got 30 years of stories to tell. I have got only about 15 years of stories to tell because I only moved in here about 15 years ago, right? So that's what you want to do. So that's important. Now there's another question here by Edith to Brendan. Brendan, how has MCO or this COVID-19 affected your viewing appointments, as some condos visitors are not allowed? What do you do?
I think at this point of time, we need to be patient. We have to follow, our agency's direction. I think last week, John, you actually came out with 4 points, to consider rather, is it the best for us to go for viewing or not. So we have to consider all this. So condominiums, which does not allow agents to conduct any viewing, we have to follow their SOP, because we don't want to make any we don't have conflict or make enemy with that particular condo. So keep track of all those leads who wants to view that particular condo, which does not allow viewing now. Keep track and make sure you keep in touch with them, and send them text messages, just to have that rapport with your client. And then once it's available for viewing, then conduct the viewing accordingly. So follow up with your client, touch base with them, and also make sure that you touch base with local agents in that vicinity. And if you have the contact number of the management office, that will be very helpful so that you can keep in touch with them and ask, when can we actually conduct viewing in that development.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Naqi, how about you?
List
Yeah.
of all those clients who wants to view condos which currently does not allow viewing. So once you can conduct viewing again, immediately we reach out to them.
So you keep a list to track the people that wants to view but can't view right now. You have a list of that.
Yes, the name and date when they contacted me.
Okay, you manage your database that way. Awesome, thank you. Naqi, how about you? What do you do right now based on the current situation right now, where some places don't allow viewing? How do you then create that opportunity to work with the clients?
Okay, if I think I prioritize my clients in terms of whether they are high priority or not based on their urgency to buy or to rent, for example. So I'm taking the opportunity to at least communicate with them a lot more to understanding their needs in terms of how urgent you want to buy, those kind of things. Keep the communication going, but I did some viewing as well, because especially on landed areas. Like I told you, my viewings are all within the 1 km vicinity, and majority of them are locals as well who wants to buy. And I have a client who is just staying in front of my house, so we just went together in a separate car, definitely, but within the area as well. Okay, so I keep it on coming. But for condos as well, I do have requests. Even though I have access card and the parking area as well to go, if you go with the kind of, but I assess their urgency. If they want to rent immediately, probably I can go, but I never did any condo viewing still when they announced MCO. I just set my priority correctly, because if you can view it later, we schedule it later, because I don't want to risk in terms of, because I have a large family and all small kids in my house. So I don't want to risk that also for them.
Yeah. And you use Matterport as a virtual viewing tool, right?
Yep.
Are you still doing that right now, this MCO 2.0?
I am. I did show a few Matterport viewings to I think a few clients during MCO.
Right. So be creative, guys, and think about ways that you can engage your customers virtually, so that you then can be safe at the same time, comply with the regulation of the management committee. Now, it is the worst thing to do by being blacklisted or being singled out by a management committee. If that agent is a rogue agent, you don't want to do that, guys. It's not worth. I don't know whether Naqi and Brandon will agree with me. I guess you guys will agree. You don't want to be like a wanted poster in the chat room. This agent didn't follow SOP. You really don't want that, guys. So do your best, comply as much as you can, and use creative ways to engage your customers. Great. Any more questions from the chat box? Virtual support, do you have any more questions? There are 300 over people today listening to you guys. So any more questions from the what do you call that, audience here today? One size doesn't fit all. You have to find your area of strengths and what fit you. Don't just copy. Do you agree that you have to analyze the whole thing before you decide what you want to focus on? Do you guys agree on that? Brandon, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. Because when I first joined, the real estate industry, I did not solely just focus in one location. I ventured out to KLCC. I went to Ampang, all sorts of places. Slowly then, narrow down and see which is the specific area that you want to focus in. Yeah, like how was this Peter Cock mentioned. There's no one size that fits all. So just slowly find your niche and find a place where you think you are comfortable, and obviously a location that can help you meet your goals. Yeah.
Awesome. Naqi, how about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it boils down to your strengths and weaknesses and your ability to do things also. I think number one is to understand your market, because you have different type of market based on different location in Klang Valley. Understand your market first. If you think that you are the agent who can, do this market, by all means, get your tools ready. get your weapons ready and operate. I think for us, we're only just giving you ideas for you to leverage on, or something, the strategies that you can leverage on. But it's not a one size fits all kind of thing, because different market have different type of clientele. Yeah, so those are the things that you need to understand first.
Understand. Cool. Yeah. Okay, one last question to you guys before I wrap up with a video. I'm going to show you guys a video at the end of the session here today. But now this is in follow-up with Jordan's question. Out of curiosity, how many active agents are there? Do you find it overwhelming? Now, when you guys go and do these things, right, when you guys go and focus on your location, like you will feel sometimes you are defeated one day, sometimes you are achieving something one day. You will feel that pain, you will feel that struggle, that challenge. How do you guys keep going on, man? So Naqi, can I ask you, how do you keep going when you see your competition is so great, so much more in a more advantageous position for you right now? How do you keep going and keep pushing yourself?
Okay, let me answer the question first. On a random day, I can see sometimes 30, 35 active agents listing Taman Tun properties. Okay, I'll be honest with you. You have you have the big players, and you have all the other players as well. Yes, it's always been so demotivating, especially when I started. Oh man, how can I be in this market? It's really hard to compete with them. They have so many listings. Number one, they are in the first page and everything. I think the motivating factor is, I know at the back of my mind, based on the knowledge and the things that I've read, I know people will opt to use other service as well. Even though that agent has a lot of listings, but he may not be the friendliest one. Okay, he may not be the people's person. Okay, for me, I know myself. I can give value to people. I know the area, and I got the listings. All right, I just want them to see me first. Give me a chance, so I know based on historical, based on experience, it can be done. It can be done. But you need to find ways how to keep your presence, intact in all the channels or all the avenues, so people can see you. You just want that, and from there it's just I will not say smooth sailing, but once I got the audience attention, or the client's attention, I'll try to serve the best to them. So from there, word of mouth will spread through. Referrals will come definitely, because I know it, I experience it, so it can be done. Don't worry, because other agents, some of them, even though they are pushing a lot, especially in the property portals, but you can do other things. You can strategize, you can be creative, you can be innovative, just to compete with them. Or sometimes you can just be allies with them. It's easier.
Yep. And so how do you keep going every day? What's that motivating factor, or how do you keep yourself in the game every day and being positive and being focused? How do you do that?
Myself, is it?
Yes.
Okay, the number one big why is definitely your family. My family, right? My family. Putting food on the table. I think that's quite simple and straightforward. So I'm the only one working in the house, so I need to commit to this. I need to find ways to reduce my costs, to increase my profits, but at the same time be up to par with all the other competitions.
Thank you for sharing that. Brandon, how about you? How do you keep going every day and keep yourself in the game and not be distracted?
For myself, be hungry all the time. Be hungry, stay hungry at all times, and that's what drives me. And then if my competitors are aggressive, I'm twice more aggressive than them. If they are on the first page, I'm like at the top of that first page. So that's how I compete with them. And I think being hungry, it's the number one key point.
Right. Yeah. Right. Awesome. So then you hear that part. Now, as we close today's session, don't go off, right? I want to show you a short video. And after I show you this short video, I will go back to our panelists to give them their last thoughts. I want to show this short video to explain to you what they're talking about having a vision and being strong right now. So yeah, virtual support, please play the video right now.
起，快接，快走，加油，加油！ 起，快走，加油，加油！加油，慧儿！加油，加油！加油！加油，慧儿！加油，慧儿！加油，慧儿！加油！加油！加油！起，快走！加油！加油！加油，慧儿！
Thank you. Please share the screen now. I just want to share that story of an 8-year-old girl in China. And this story was shared in South China Morning Post. That's something that y'all can read every day because they have a lot of good inspirational stories about people in Asia, how they are rising up. And it's all about focus. An 8-year-old understands focus because she knows what she wants to become, and she knows the strategy that will help her to become that. Now, whether she gets there or not, I don't know, but she stands a higher chance than her peers that day. Right? So that was a great video to help you all understand if you need to do what you need to do right now, you will fall. But if you are clear of where you want to go and what you want to become, falling then becomes part of the process, right? So I hope you all learned something from that video. How many of you learned something from that video just now? How many of you are pumped up watching that video, man? Because I watched this video over the weekend, my wife shared with me. I thought, wow, that's a very moving video. And I hope all our children could see that in us, and so that we can be an example to them as well. Okay, guys, so before we go to the panelists here, let's just quickly go to the announcements. Virtual support, please, can I flash out the announcements so that everyone gets the message correct? So this is our training program for this week. You all have this calendar already. Next one, but what I want to highlight tomorrow is that tomorrow night we are having Jessica Starr, who is a starch agent that uses command and campaigns very well. Like, she focused a lot of her business in campaigns, and I saw personally being interviewed by Gary Keller in one of our sessions, the leadership session in the worldwide regions, where she shared how she's using hook points, how she's managing the leads, what scripts that she's using. So please tune in tomorrow night at 9 p.m. We are continuing to bring you more values like this so that you can then use and leverage some of these trainings to help you build a business, especially in the beginning of this year. Next slide, please. Okay, so remember this Thursday, every Thursday, we will have the agent to client touch points. It will be on Workplace every Thursday on Review Happening. Please take the scripts that you want to use, or you want to modify your script so that you can touch point with your clients. You hear the stories here today that two of these agents are successful in their business or gaining very good success is because they keep in touch with their database and they touch them. So we create more opportunities for you to touch point with your database through some of these touch points that we are creating on a weekly basis. Next slide, please. Also, those who wants to get into Command right now and set up your Facebook on Command, do sign up for training with Winnie. Winnie has been awesome in helping agents to set up their Facebook account so that they are compliant to the regulation right now. Next slide, please. Okay, now let's go back to Brendan and Naqi. Naqi, let's go to you first. What are your last advice to some of our agents here who are still uncertain about being focused? What are some of your advice to them, Naqi? Go ahead. You are muted. You're muted, Naqi.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, I do have a few because okay, this is based on my life experience. I think number one is don't ever second guess yourself or doubt yourself. Even though it's on the early stages, especially there's a lot of competition, but there's no point of you second guessing themselves. Try something new. Try being different. It may work or it may not, but at the end of the day, it won't be a mistake. It will be an experience for you to learn from. I think that's number one. And then from there, you can learn what is can be done best and what you should avoid. Secondly, I think all successful people will always start from humble beginnings. So don't worry. I think don't worry. It just needs time for you to build up. I think be creative, be innovative. And I think the most important thing is being able to execute what you have strategized. That's really important. Don't keep on saying, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. But at the end of the day, you just do the typical, the status quo, what other people are doing. I think it's for me, it's cool to be different, even though you're doing something else. Probably is going to be a very good. It gives you the competitive advantage. It may not, but it will. The perception of people to see you is, hey, this guy is doing something different, so I might as well try him. So no problem. He's being different. He's adding value to the audience. So why not, right? I think lastly, don't worry about competition. It took me some time just to have this in the back of my mind. Don't worry about the competition because you cannot have control over them. You have 30, 40 people working in your market, you won't have competitive over them because the barriers of entry is very minimal for an estate agent. Okay, everyone can enter the market. It's what you do that can add value to people's life, because buying a house is a very big decision. So when they're making decision, emotional plays a lot of factor. So you need to be that kind of person who can address their emotion, put value to them when making the decision, right? So those are the things that you need to do. It does not matter whether you have the most listing in the market, but at the end of the day, you, based on your strategy, you can gradually build that up, but give value to people. Don't like short scenery, do things that you think that is good, but at the end of the day, it does not give value to people. I think that's my thoughts.
Great value. I love that. Brendan, how about you? What's your last? Are you back with us, Brendan? I think we lost him for a couple of seconds. What I hear from Naqi is build value, be consistent, and execute. The key word is execute and do things so that you can see your plan come to fruition by taking action and massive action. Brendan, are you there? How many of you are learning something this morning? How many of you are learning something this morning? If you are learning, share some ahas on the chat box right now. Share some ahas and share some great gratitude, words of gratitude to both Brendan and Naqi for taking their time off the business to share really from their heart. How many of you think that they're sharing from their heart with true authenticity? Right, Brendan, what are your last advice to some of our agents here who are struggling to look at focusing the areas?
I think it is, what we can do is actually we can refer back to your team leaders, okay, or your productivity coach. Seek for their advice, okay, and then revisit all those courses in Ignite, and then try to gain something there to apply on in your business, okay. So obviously, don't be demotivated. Also try to go into, if you are being discouraged, maybe you can try things like meditation. Yeah, try to focus, meditate on how to achieve that particular goal. Speak with people who has done things before, like closing deals and so on. Talk to them. Try to gain some key strategies, or just to get some encouragement from them. Just like how that particular video that you showed us just now. Yes, that particular participant did fall, but also do listen to that voice that kept encouraging her to go on and, to work harder and to overtake all those the participants. Yeah, so sometimes I think it's very important for us to listen and also communicate with people that can push us harder and then that can drive us further. Yeah, I think that would be my 2 cents in how some people can be encouraged.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys, for sharing. I hope you can see everyone is really encouraged. We have almost 300 old people listening to you guys today. Thank you for taking your time of business to be take your valuable time to create value for others and be open about sharing. So for the rest of you guys here, guys, listen to this and think about what are the actions that you can do from today onwards, listening to this story. Watch this recording again if you need some inspiration, you want to go into more depth in the details of what they do. Visit them, have conversation with them. I'm sure they're open to have conversation with you guys. So thank you very much, guys. I hope this has kickstart a good start for this week for everyone. And our goal on Power Mondays is to bring that power of awesomeness to everyone to start their week with power, right? So I hope you guys have a great week. Take care, stay safe, and I will see you next training. Thank you, Naqi. Thank you, Brendan. You all have a good one. Take care.
Thanks.